Hello everyone, welcome to Ascendant Signs, and today in this video I will be discussing the monthly horoscope for the month of May 2022. Today is Akshay Tritiya and it's a very auspicious day, and I wish all of you a very happy and auspicious Akshay Tritiya. It is such a auspicious day that suppose if you want to start something new, something begin with some good thing, then this is the day when you can start something new. You can expect that if you start it today, then it will definitely going to give you good results in the future. And you can also involve in some spiritual activities, religious rituals and customs to get most benefit out of it. You can do Lakshmi Narayan Pujan, Ganesh Pujan during this particular day today, and that can give you much more better results, because this is the day if you involve yourself into some kind of religious customs, rituals, Lakshmi Pujan, Lakshmi Narayan Pujan, Ganesh Pujan, then that is not only good for your happiness, your auspiciousness and overall prosperity of yours and your family members, the place where you live in. This is also the time and day when you can start something new, anything which is good. Suppose if you are thinking to do something good for yourself, for your family, for your near and dear ones, for your relatives, then you can start it today. Then it can finally give you good results in future. And any good thoughts expressed into actions today can definitely give you good fruits in future. It's a wonderful day, and make the best out of it this particular day of Akshay Tritiya. So many happy and auspicious wishes for every one of you for this wonderful day of Akshay Tritiya. Now let us start about the monthly horoscope for the month of May 2022. In the last month, April 2022, all the planets had their transits. Talking about the last transit which had happened on 29th of April, which had been the transit of Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. So now in the month of May, as all the transits had already happened, so now the game starts. It is about the planetary energies, the new colors and new flavors which will be coming by the virtue of their transit into new sign, and that will impact every one of us depending upon the places where they are transited into, the houses where they are already transiting or they are sitting over there, they are posited over there. Now specifically when you are talking about the planets or the grahas which take longer days for the transit, like Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, Ketu, normally they stays in a sign for longer amount of time. Now it is about a matter of time that Saturn will be retrograding back again in the after 2 months in the sign of Capricorn. It will retrograding back. Otherwise I will say that this month of May, looking into the fact that all the transits had already happened, so it is a very powerful month. So many planetary energies will be there, so all of a sudden every one of us may experience different kind of energies which you might have not experienced till last month. Now again I will repeat it, that when Saturn retrogrades back again into the sign of Capricorn, again the planetary energies will change. So till it stays in the sign of Aquarius, it is very essential to understand that the things will be like we expect something and something else happens. Okay, so all of a sudden it will be like to understand what is going to happen, it will take you some time, and this is that transition period, the month of May. So it is going to be very important for every one of us, because it will decide that how the rest of the months are going to be for every one of us. Okay, so I will start for all the 12 ascendant sign. It is my request to every one of you, in each and every my video I say this, that please take the readings for your ascendant sign and your moon sign also. Like suppose your ascendant is Taurus, then check the Taurus part. Suppose your moon sign is Gemini, then check the Gemini part. Okay, that will give you a clear indication that how are you going to experience it, the physical manifestation, that is from the ascendant, and how is it going to impact you emotionally, that is from your moon sign. And that will give you a clear indication that how this month is actually going to go for you, okay, for your ascendant, for your moon sign. Now anytime if you want a consultation from me, check the links in the description section. You can directly mail me through my email id and connect to me through my Facebook and Instagram accounts. And if you are new to this channel, then tap onto the subscribe button, click onto the notification bell icon, so that every time I make a new video you get notified instantly. So now I will start for all the 12 signs. Check it from your ascendant and from your moon sign also. So let us start. For the Aries ascendant people, the month of May has started with the solar eclipse or the new moon, which had already happened in your first house, where Sun and Rahu is at present transiting. So for the initial few days there can be some kind of restlessness or anxiety, unclear thoughts, lack of decision making, or even lack of confidence. For the initial few days you may face during this particular month. So it is advisable that don't overdo into anything, take the things a bit lightly, because with the time, with the passage of time, you will feel that your confidence and your prominence in decision making power and thoughts will be coming back to you, and that can give you far more better results with time. So that time you will feel that yes, I am getting back my confidence, and yes, whatever things I am thinking of doing, I am able to do that. And during this particular time it is very important to take care of your health, because in your first house the eclipse has happened. So it is very essential to take care of your personality, your health, and whatever efforts and whatever work you do, because it will represent you, your general name and fame, your reputation, okay. Now, looking into fact that Mercury, your third and sixth lord, is going to get retrograde on 10th of May in the second house of wealth, family, values, your speech. So it is very essential that you need to put your actions, your efforts, your hard work in continuous manner, no matter whether you are getting your results even with some delay, because results may come with delay. You may feel that I am not getting my results of my hard work so easily. So it is very essential that you keep on doing your hard work, because don't forget your 11th lord Saturn has already transited into the sign of Aquarius in the 11th house. So with your repetitive efforts, hard work, you will be able to get your work done. You will be getting all your fulfillment of wishes and desires. So it will take some time, but keep on doing your hard work and you will get the results done by passage of time. With time you will feel that yes, my things are getting done and I am getting the results which I desire for. Now, your Lagna Lord Mars will be in conjunction with Saturn in the 11th house. Now, Aquarius is a airy sign. It is a fixed sign and airy sign, whereas Mars is the fiery energy. So here, Mars along with Saturn is a very volatile planet over there. So it is also essential that you keep down your calmness, because the fourth aspect of Mars will be falling in your second house of speech, where Mercury is retrograde. So out of impulsion, out of aggression, you should not be saying anything which you should not say, because Mercury will be retrograde. So later on you may feel that I shouldn't have reacted, so, or I could have controlled my behavior. So initially till 17th of May, when Mars and Saturn will be in conjunction in the sign of Aquarius, you need to be very careful during this particular time. But since 11th house is the house of gains, and Mars and Saturn normally does very well in the 11th house with respect to gains, fulfillment of wishes, so you can put your efforts, you can put your hard work and get your work done. uh, while dealing with your groups or your project members or team members, you need to be much more cordial with them, because the presence of two malefic planets in the 11th house can make you feel more dominant, and it can also make you feel a bit rough. So you need to be more easy with them while dealing with any kind of work related matters with your team members or project members. Now, if we talk about Venus and Jupiter, Venus and Jupiter are in good dignity in the sign of Pisces. So this also denotes that if you want to move to some far away place or foreign place in search of spirituality, or even in search of some peaceful solitude or some peaceful living, then this is also a time you will get a chance for that. And another thing is that since Ketu is transiting over your 7th house, and after 17th of May, Mars will come to your 12th house and getting conjunct with Jupiter and Venus. So that time there can be some difference in opinion between you and your partner. So it is very much essential between any two couples or partners that after 17th of May you should be very much careful regarding any matter related to marriage, relationship, or even business bindings also. There can be some unnecessary agitation, or there can be unnecessary arguments or fights, so you need to be very careful regarding that. So initially the things may be a bit better, but later on you may feel that the things are going out of bound, so you need to be very more careful regarding that. Take the things a bit lightly, don't overdo into anything. That will give you far more better results. So that's it for the Aries ascendant people. For the Taurus ascendant people, the month of May, as it has started with the solar eclipse or the new moon, and it has had happened in your 12th house, where Sun and Rahu is transiting, and Sun is exalted over there. So there can be initially some kind of unclear thoughts in the subconscious mind. So this can lead to some kind of unnecessary anxiety or even stress. It can also disturb your sleep schedule, or it can also make you feel restless while you are trying to spend your time in solitude or when you are lonely. So initially you can take resort to more of meditative practices or any kind of spiritual practices which can calm down your mind, because slowly and gradually when the days pass by, you will feel more confident. And after 15th of May, when Sun enters the sign of Taurus, it will be on your first house. So that can give you much more confidence, power, clarity in decision making power, and your actions that can boost your confidence. So initially for few days, when Sun will be transiting in your 12th house, and as the time passes by it will be more closely conjunct with Rahu. So that is the time when you need to be more careful, because that is a time when you may get swayed away by any kind of elusive path. You may feel that this is correct, but later on you may feel that I shouldn't have chose that path. So it can be like take more of meditative practices that can give you the correct idea that what is correct and what is wrong for you. Now, Mercury, which is your second and fifth lord, a very good planet for you, is going to get retrograde in your first house itself. So it may happen that you need to have more calculative approach towards your wealth and finance while you are dealing with your family, or while you are dealing with your partner, your better half, your spouse. You need to be more careful regarding how you are communicating with them, how you are talking with them, your behavior or thoughts, because Mercury will be retrograde. So it may happen that you say something and later on you may feel that you should have had control over your speech, or you should have had control over your behavior, because Mars is in the 10th house and getting his aspects on the first house where Mercury is transiting. So you have to be very careful regarding that. Now Mercury, since it is the second and your fifth lord, so it may happen that any person of your acquaintance, near and dear ones, might suddenly come in your life, and you may had a beautiful time with them. Again, the people whom you had a good contact with them, but you didn't had any chance to meet them or talk with them, but all of a sudden you may get a chance to see them because of this retrograde of Mercury. During this particular time, you are if you are already in a relationship, then you have to be more responsible towards it. And if you are getting a chance to get into a relationship, then you have to be very careful and be wise while you are taking any decision regarding that. Okay. Mars and Saturn will be transiting in your 10th house, so this will definitely give you the order and discipline at your work. But since it is two combination of two malefic planets, and Mars and Saturn in Aquarius are basically a bit of opposite energies, because Mars is that fire, and Saturn is the owner of the sign Aquarius, and it's airy sign. So it is like fire and air coming together. So there can be sudden aggression and impulsion towards your work sector, or sudden responsibilities may come in front of you which you might not had expected. So suddenly such responsibility coming in front of you towards you can invoke you, can make you much more impulsive. So you need to have that proper control over that impulsion while you are dealing with any kind of work related matter with your colleagues or with your superiors or authorities. This is very essential during this particular time. And Mars is also your seventh lord, so this can also lead to some kind of difference in opinion between you and your partner. Again, on 17th of May, when Mars goes into your 11th house, by the virtue sitting in the 11th house, it will give you good results. But that time it will be in conjunction with Jupiter and Venus also, so that can again lead to some kind of difference in opinion between you and your partner. So it is very essential that during this particular month, your homely matter, your domestic matter has to be taken care of very essentially. Specifically, Mars and Saturn will be directly aspecting your fourth house, so you have to be very much careful regarding your health, your health of your domestic happiness, and also your mother's health. It is very essential during this particular time. So that's it for the Taurus ascendant people. For the Gemini ascendant people, the month of May has started with the solar eclipse and the new moon, which had happened in your 11th house where Sun and Rahu is transiting. So initially, you might be a bit be less clear regarding your hopes and wishes, your thoughts, your gains, and how you are dealing with your friend circle or network circle. So this is the time when you need to be very careful regarding how you are choosing your friends, or whom you are trusting upon regarding your projects or regarding your work. So you need to be very careful regarding that, because there can be a chance of cheating. So you need to be in right path, because take the most use of the exaltation of sun. So here exaltation of sun can be also be taken into this fact that you should have more clarity regarding your work, because you should not be away from your righteousness. Okay, you should always follow your right path. That is one way of taking the most of the benefit of this particular transit of sun in the 11th house. Another thing is that as the time pass by, you will have more confidence, you will have more clarity regarding your gains, your hopes and wishes, and how you are dealing with your friend circle. So till then, you need to be much more careful regarding that. Another thing is that since Sun and Rahu together are conjunct in the 11th house, so initially by the virtue sun is present in the 11th house, it is good for your health. But since it is present along with Rahu, so it may happen the things which you feel is good for your health might not be that much good for your health. So you need to be also be very careful regarding that also, that what are the things which you are choosing regarding food eating habits, or regarding anything, any hobbies or anything which you are feeling that yes, I should do this or not, should it give me good results or not. So you might have started something, but later on you may feel that my time got wasted. So you need to recollect those things also and work out according to that. Your Lagna Lord Mercury will be retrograde on 10th of May in your 12th house. So this can also signify that you need to very much be careful regarding your health. Take care regarding your health, take care regarding your finances, your homely matters. Yes, there can be a situation where you may feel that should I move away to some faraway place in order to find my path of life, or my solitude, or at your home only you can take up some space where you can go inward and think about your decision making power, about your confidence, and regain it by this help of this retrograde of Mercury. And since it is in the 12th house, so definitely you have to stay away from miscommunication, specifically when Mercury will be retrograde. So you try to say something, you try to explain something, and if it is not completely done, then that can lead to some kind of miscommunication. So these are the things which you need to be very careful regarding this particular transit of Mercury in your 12th house. And looking into the fact that Mars and Saturn transiting in your ninth house, so there can be initially by this virtue of this transit, initially there can be a feeling that clash between your inner thoughts and your belief system, because the situation may be in such a way that you may feel that what you believe and what you think is not actually happening in your real life. So there can be some clashes or difference of opinion between you and the thoughts which have been imparted to you. So this is the time when you need to take help from your elders or from your guru, because they are the mentors. They can guide you in a proper manner, because your energies will be so high that it is many a times it may happen that you may not take the things as it is. So there is a chance that you may become more impulsive because of that. So it is a time when you can take help from your guru, from your elders, because don't forget, is that it is a short period of time when Mars will be in conjunction with Saturn. On 17th of May, Mars will come out of your ninth house, so that time it will be all about Saturn. So if you can take resort to help from your father, elders, or guru, that can give you far more better results. Now Jupiter and Venus will be transiting in your 10th house. So, this is a very good transit. I will say it is good for your family happiness, your marital happiness, and it will be also good for your career, your profession. So, some good changes are seen in your work life, in your career life, due by the virtue of this transit of Jupiter and Venus in your 10th house. So, that's it for the Gemini ascendant people. For the Cancer ascendant people, the month of May has started with the solar eclipse or the new moon in your 10th house, where Sun and Rahu is transiting, and Sun is exalted over there. So a new set of responsibility which is not clear to you or not known to you can all of a sudden can come in front of you, which is which initially you may feel that should I take it or not, or should I, how will I perform it, or this kind of things may come in front of you. But don't worry, as the time passes by, as the days goes by, you will be much more confident in your work sector, and this will also give you a good chance to prove yourself in front of your authorities or in front of your superiors and colleagues. But since it is the presence of Rahu and Sun, so I will say you that have control over your ego and don't be too much manipulative in order to get the success. Because don't forget, now Sun is exalted, and after 15th of May Sun will transit your 11th house. So that time you will get far more better results, because here Sun is exalted, that is true, but Sun will also transit your 11th house. That will be giving you name, fame, reputation, and that will also be good for your wealth. So this is the time when you need to be focusing much more in your hard work, your efforts, and then you will see that as the time passes by you will get much more better results. Mercury, which is your 12th and your third lord, is going to get retrograde on 10th of May in your 11th house of gains. So there is a chance that you may get some income offer, or any kind of wealth related matter can suddenly come in front of you from some faraway place or some foreign place, where you may feel that yes, your incoming of wealth, incoming of money, or something related to that can happen in your life during this retrograde season of Mercury in your 11th house. Another thing, since Mercury is your house, lord of your house of communication, third house, so after Mercury retrograde, so whatever you say, whatever you speak, or how you communicate with, specifically with your friend circles, or your team member or your project member related to some big companies, or when you are dealing with some people of big company organizations, you need to be very careful regarding your communicative abilities and how you express your thoughts in front of them. Otherwise, by the virtue of transit of Mercury, and later on when Sun conjoins with Mercury after 15th of May, this transit of Mercury in your 11th house will give you much more better results, because it may happen that the things which you didn't expect, that kind of gains or fulfillment of wishes can also take place by the virtue of this retrogression of Mercury. Now, if we talk about Mars and Saturn, which is transiting at present in your 8th house, this combination of two natural malefic planets transiting in the 8th house is giving a clear indication that you should be very much careful regarding your health, because this transit is also giving you an energy to be much more oriented towards spirituality and occult science, but it is also giving an indication that you need to be very much careful regarding your health, because any kind of indiscipline or any kind of healthy habit, which is any kind of unhealthy habit basically, unhealthy habit or any kind of selection of food eating habits which are not conducive to your health, that can lead to some kind of health disorders or illness or sickness. Okay, so that can be a very much important fact to be understood, and you need to have proper control over your speech, because Mercury will be retrograde and Mars and Saturn will be aspecting your second house. And on 17th of May, when Mars comes out of your 8th house, it will be in your 9th house and looking directly into your 3rd house of communication. So you have to be very much focused on what you are saying, how you are expressing your thoughts and your behavior. Have control over your impulsion. This is very essential, because specifically when Mars and Saturn is transiting through the 8th house, and how you are dealing with your family members and your in-laws. Now, suppose when it comes to the matter of wealth, then I will say that have control over your spendings. Any kind of wasteful expenditure has to be stopped. The transit of Jupiter and Venus in your 9th house will be always welcome, because that can give you gains spiritually and materially, because don't forget Venus is your 11th lord also and 4th lord of happiness. So any kind of things which you are expecting, all of a sudden by the divine blessing you can get it. And it is also good for learning new stuffs and higher learning, philosophical studies. So any kind of any discipline of studies which you are feeling that yes, should I start it or not, then it is a very good time when you may be able to find a good preceptor, a good guru, so that you can learn from him or her the best. So this kind of good results can be expected from Jupiter and Venus transiting in your 9th house, and they will be aspecting your 3rd house. So any kind of new kind of hobbies or any creative talents which you already had, you wanted to start it, so you can do it by the virtue of this transit. So it is a good transit, I will say. So that's it for the Cancer ascendant people. For the Leo ascendant people, the month of May will be starting with the solar eclipse or the new moon in your 9th house, where Sun and Rahu is transiting, and Sun is the Lagna lord, the first lord for the Leo ascendant people, which is exalted. So initially for the first few days in the month of May, there can be lack of clarity regarding your belief system, regarding what you think, regarding what you know or what you believe. So because of this solar eclipse, or you may feel that the things which you are believing or which you are knowing, that is not clear. So during this particular time you can do some religious practices, spiritual practices, or even you can take help of your guru. You can take advice from your elders, from your father. That can give you far more better results, because they can provide clarity towards your thought. They can provide guidance to you, because they know you the best. And this will be for the initial few days, and later on as the time passes by, you will feel that you are gaining back the confidence, you are having more understanding towards your belief system, and that can give you far more better results. Since Sun and Rahu both are transiting in the 9th house, so this is also a time where you can learn new things. You can have more introspection or more clarity as the time passes by towards deeper knowledge, or knowledge of some other cultures also, other communities also. So you can also have more energy to explore spiritual communities, meet people with spiritual communities. Okay, so this way it can take you to some far more better results, so make the most out of it. So initial few days there can be some lack of clarification, so that can be solved out by taking help from your elders, guru or father. Okay, Mars and Saturn will be transiting in your seventh house. So this is a very essential transit, I will say, with respect to your own health and personality, your relationship with your spouse, or even with your business partners also. It is very essential because there can be some unnecessary arguments, disputes, lack of coordination, or even difference of opinions also. Because here in the sign of Aquarius, Mars is very volatile. Specifically with the presence of Saturn, it is more volatile. So all of a sudden, some disputes can come in front of you, and that can lead to problems. So I will say that take the things more lightly. Don't overdo into anything, because things can come in front of you, but with your presence of wisdom, presence of your mind, that can give you far more better results. And yes, you have to also take care of your health, because when things are not in order, that can lead to anxiety, mental anxiety and stress. Okay, so you have to take care of your health also. The good part here is that in your 8th house, Jupiter and Venus is transiting. Now, by the presence of two natural benefic planets in the 8th house, it can signify that even if some kind of arguments or disputes happens with your partner or business partner, the presence of two benefic planets in the 8th house can give you an indication that even if the things are not in order, but if you try, the things will can definitely come in order. So it is up to your actions, it is up to your way of thinking. Because don't forget, why actions? Because Venus is your third lord, getting exalted in the 8th house along with Jupiter. So if you want, the things can be in order. So even if the problems are coming, but don't forget, it is up to you that are you ready for it. Okay, another thing is that Mercury, which is your 11th and second lord, which rules your finances, is going to get retrograde in your 10th house on 10th of May. So that means new kind of responsibilities, or how you deal with your work matter, or your time management, your work management, that has to be reviewed at your workplace. And how you are dealing with your colleagues, your people at your workplace, your superiors and authorities, and that has to be also be seen or checked very essentially during this particular time. Your speech and behavior and expression of thoughts has to be controlled during this particular transit of Mercury in retrograde motion. And any matter related to wealth, finances, has to be taken very carefully. Unnecessary expenditures has to be stopped, because Mercury rules over your second house. So that is very essential during this particular time. Okay, so that's it for the Leo ascendant people. For the Virgo ascendant people, the month of May will be starting with the solar eclipse or the new moon, which has had already happened in your 8th house, where Sun and Rahu is transiting. Sun is your 12th lord, getting exalted in the sign of Aries in the 8th house, getting conjunct with Rahu. And due to the impact of the solar eclipse and new moon, so it can lead to some kind of anxiety or insecurities during this particular initial few days of the month of the May. So it is advisable that if you can take more efforts in spiritual activities, meditative practices or yoga, that can give you much more better results. It will calm you down, and it will also give you proper path in your life. This is also a time when you can be learning new spiritual way of life, or regarding spiritual growth or occult sciences. That can also give you much more better results. You have to be very much careful regarding your spendings and your finances, because Sun will be looking into your second house, and where Ketu is transiting, and your Lagna Lord Mercury will be retrograde in this month after 10th of May. So it is very essential that you need to be much more careful regarding your wealth related matters, because if you don't take care regarding your financial matters, then that can lead to some kind of wasteful expenditures, and later on you may feel that you should have taken more care of it. Jupiter and Venus will be transiting in your seventh house, which is a really very good transit for the Virgo ascendant people, because it will not only be good for your your relationship, your marriage, partnership. It is also good for you, for your health, for your personality. This can also lead to increase in wealth gains and fulfillment of desire. So any kind of dispute which you had happened with your partners, that is going to get solved during this transit of Jupiter and Venus in your seventh house. So any kind of disputes will be solved. Any kind of difference in opinion which may happen or had happened will be solved during this particular time. So you have to make the most out of it when Venus and Jupiter is transiting over your seventh house, because on 17th of May Mars will join the party. Mars will enter your seventh house and getting conjunct with Jupiter and Venus. So that time again some kind of unnecessary disputes and aggression can be there. So you need to be more careful regarding your relationship that time, because it may happen that you may feel something regarding your married life or your relationship or your business partnership in your own way, and it will be like yeah, you will be going less towards negotiation and more towards your own way of thinking and expression of thoughts, okay, and energy. So be more grounded, and less of ego can give you much more better results when Mars comes to your seventh house. Okay, that will be that is the way how you can take it. Otherwise that can lead to otherwise unnecessary disputes and anxiety. Now, as of now, Mars and Saturn is transiting in your sixth house, and that is a good transit, I will say, in one way, because malefic planets, when they transit through the sixth house, it gives us energy for the hard work. It gives us energy in whatever service you do, in whatever job we do. So it can also lead to professional success. But since sixth house is also the house of disease and injuries, problems, so a malefic planet like Mars and Saturn transiting over the sixth house, it is very essential that we should not be very much aggressive or impulsive in our life, because otherwise that can also lead to some kind of health related problems or injuries or accidents. During this particular time our impulsion has to be controlled, because whatever actions or work we do, that is also going to impact our life, impact how we deal in our life, in the situations, okay. So our any kind of habits, daily routines or habits which you are following, by the presence of this Mars and Saturn, so it can happen that the things which should be done in one way, by the impact of these planets, we may be doing it in some one of the other way which is not conducive to our health. So we have to be very careful regarding that we should use this transit in some positive manner, use the energy in such a way that can be good for our health, rather than producing some wrong results. Now, lastly, I will talk about Mercury for the Virgo ascendant people, which is the Lagna Lord, transiting through the ninth house, getting retrograde. So, this retrogression can also mean that any kind of learning, any kind of philosophical ideas which you are thinking about, or which you think that I should ponder upon, or any idea which you should follow through the guidance of your guru or your father or elders, then this is the time that when you can learn new things, you can join with spiritual communities, follow your religious customs and rituals which you thought that you should have done but you didn't do it, didn't get time to do it. This is the time when you can work upon it and get the most of the results out of it. So that's it for the Virgo ascendant people. For the Libra ascendant people, the month of May has started with the solar eclipse and or the new moon which had happened in your seventh house of your marriage relationship, where Sun and Rahu is transiting, where Sun is exalted. So any matter related to your marriage, relationship, your spouse, or health of your spouse, business partnerships, some matter can be there which can be a reason for anxiety or restlessness in your life, where you may also feel that your personality is getting directly impacted because Ketu is transiting over your first house. So this can also have an impact on your health, on your personality. So initial few days, this kind of situation can go on. But as the time goes by, as the time passes by, you will regain your that energy, that confidence, where you can take more proper decision regarding your partnership, regarding your married life, regarding your spouse, or regarding your own health and your decision making power also. So it will take some time, but during this particular time, during this particular initial days and in this interval, you can be much more grounded, much more take the things much more lightly. Don't overdo anything because that can lead to unnecessary anxiety and stress, dispute between you and your partner. Okay, so it is better that during this particular time you can cooperate your partner, because your partner will also be expecting the same thing from you. Cooperate your partner and don't hesitate to take any cooperation from him or her also, because that mutual cooperation can build your partnership between you and that person. That will be better for you and that person in the future also. Mercury, which is your ninth lord, getting retrograde in the eighth house. Now, ninth lord transiting in the eighth house, which is an indication that initially you may feel that your luck or fortune is not supporting your way. Whatever work you are doing related to studies or learning, or even your belief system, which you are thinking. So initially you may feel that I am not getting the results which I actually feel which I should get. Now, Mercury is your 12th lord also. 12th lord Mercury, ninth lord Mercury transiting in the 8th house. This can also link to the fact that you can have the time and space to learn, relearn, because Mercury will be retrograde. Anything which requires more focus, more concentration, which is deep and secret, or that can be related to spirituality and occult science also. So, suppose if you are doing any work which is linked with research, full concentration and focus. So, by the virtue of this transit of Mercury in the eighth house, that also in the retrograde motion, you will have the knowledge and wisdom to capture it, to learn it, to accept it. Okay, so you can take the most out of it. And since Mercury is the ninth lord, so I will say that this is the time you have to take care regarding your health, regarding your father's health, and you have to also follow the instruction and ideas which have been imparted to you by your father, your elders and guru. That can give you much more better results. Venus and Jupiter will be transiting in the sixth house. Venus is a Lagna lord, which is very essential that it is exalted in the sixth house, along with Jupiter, which is the sixth lord. So, this is also giving a good idea about the fact that you will be able to follow up and clarify all the disputes which had been happened in your life in the previous days or months, or anything which will be happening during this particular time also. You will be able to focus in your work and clarify the disputes or solve the problems in your life. This is also a time when you can take more active participation in your healthy matters, or anything which is conducive to your health, which can give you much more better results regarding your personality or health. Okay, so any practices, any healthy practices or eating habits which can give you much more proper healthy looks and can be good for your body or health, that can be done during this particular transit of Jupiter and Venus in your sixth house. Mars and Saturn will be transiting in your fifth house. So, this particular transit has to be seen in one way, that you have to be very much careful regarding your ego, have control over that, and you have to put your energy in learning new things rather than focusing on any matter which can disturb your peace of mind or can give anxiety to you. So you can put the energy to learn new things that can be good for your increasing your skill set, okay, because you will have the energy and your creative talents to work on it, and it will be also helpful to expressing your ideas through that Martian energy. And Saturn is your fifth lord, so it will help you out, and that can give you gains in your life. Otherwise, if you are not focused in that, then Mars and Saturn, they will be like opposite energy in the sign of Aquarius. That can lead to more volatile energy, and can lead to some anxious moments in your life during this particular month, because till 17th of May Mars will be in the fifth house, and it will be directly aspecting your fifth house, so your eighth house by its fourth aspect, and your 12th house by its eighth aspect. So you have to also be very careful and disciplined during this particular time. So that only is very necessary, because if you are not disciplined, then that can lead to any kind of health related problems, okay, injuries or accidents. So you have to be very careful regarding that. So that's it for the Libra ascendant people. For the Scorpio ascendant people, the month of May, the solar eclipse or the new moon had occurred in your sixth house, where your 10th lord sun is exalted and getting conjunct with Rahu. So, by the virtue of this solar eclipse or the new moon, so for the initial few days, you must be very much careful regarding your health related issues, and how you deal with your co-workers or your colleagues at your workplace. If you are related to any kind of service related jobs, or you are working under someone, then you should be very much cautious regarding how you are taking the responsibilities, and how you are listening to the stuffs which have been conveyed to you by your superiors. So initial few days you need to be very careful regarding that, because as the days passes by, you will be much more confident regarding, much more energetic and hardworking regarding your work and your service. So whatever work you do, that will give you much more better results as the time passes by. And your eighth lord Mercury will be in your seventh house, and it will turn retrograde on 10th of May. So that is the time onwards when you need to be very much careful regarding your partnership, your married life, your relationship, your health of your spouse, because this Mercury will also receive the aspect from Mars, the fourth aspect of Mars. Mars will be in conjunction with Saturn in the fourth house. So you need to be very much careful regarding any kind of behavior, your behavior specifically, your expression of thoughts, and how you communicate with your partner, with your spouse. That is very essential, because that can lead to unnecessary miscommunication or difference of opinion, some arguments or disputes, which can ultimately lead to that anxiety or stress, because Mars will be in conjunction with Saturn in the Aries sign of Aquarius. So here Mars is very volatile, and Saturn is also aspecting your first house, your lagna. So your personality will also be impacted, and so it has to be dealt very carefully, specifically in this month of May, because if done properly, then that can lead to solution of many problems, and many disputes can be, or unnecessary arguments can be covered, and problems will be solved. Otherwise, don't forget, Saturn will be aspecting your sixth house by its third aspect, so that can lead to health related issues also. So this is the very essential part, because till Mars will be in conjunction with Saturn, that is very essential. After 17th of May, Mars comes out of your fourth house and gets conjunct with Jupiter and Venus in the fifth house. So that will be good for learning new things, learning new skill sets. Your creativity or self expression will be much more energetic. It will be giving you much more better results when you do some good work, some righteous work. That will give you much more better results, which will be also giving you gains and fulfilling your wishes, because Jupiter, Venus, and Mars all will be looking in your 11th house of gains. That will be good in this perspective. Otherwise, looking into the other side of the coin, Venus is your seventh lord, Mars is your first lord, getting conjunct in the seventh house, getting conjunct in the fifth house. So if any kind of dispute or arguments or miscommunication occurs during this particular phase when Mercury turns retrograde, then this conjunction of Mars and Venus in the fifth house can lead to more spite of things can occur. So you need to be very careful regarding how you express your thoughts, and it should be problem solving rather than problem creating. Another thing, by the virtue of this conjunction of Mars and Venus in the fifth house, along with Jupiter, any skill which requires energy and creativity and art, now that can be singing, dancing, sports, adventure, anything, you can learn new things regarding that by the virtue of this transit of Mars and Venus along with Jupiter in the fifth house. So you can make use of most of the things in that way. Otherwise, take looking into the other fact, Saturn and Mars will be transiting in the fourth house. So you have to be very careful regarding your domestic happiness, your marital happiness, and your health of your mother. This is the most essential part which you need to be very careful of. A new set of responsibility at your work sector can come in front of you during this particular transit of Mars and Saturn in the fourth house for the Scorpio ascendant people. For the Sagittarius ascendant people, the solar eclipse or the new moon had occurred in your fifth house. Now, Sun is your ninth lord getting conjunct with Rahu and getting exalted in the fifth house. So, and where the solar eclipse had happened, so it can give you sense that whatever things you are working upon regarding your skill set or your creativity or intelligence or anything which you are learning, so there can be a illusion or there can be some lack of clarity that whether it can be good for you or not, or the things which you are learning will be absorbed by you or not. Okay, so that kind of feelings can come for initial few days. And fifth house, since it is happening in the fifth house, so initial few days there can be lack of confidence and some sense of anxiety can also be there. So it is very essential during this particular time that you can take resort to spiritual way of living. Spiritual practices, meditative practices can be very much helpful since Sun is your ninth lord. So taking help from your guru or learning new stuffs from your guru, or during this particular time any advice from your elders can help you out. Since it is fifth house, you also need to be very careful regarding the health of your children and progeny. Jupiter and Venus will be transiting in your fourth house, which is a very good transit, I will say, because it will actually try to maintain the family happiness, the family bonding between you and anyone living at your home. Your mother's health will be improved. Your relationship between you and your mother will be much more better. And this Jupiter and Venus will be aspecting your 10th house. So it will also be good for your career and profession. So ultimately you can make the most use of it. Mars and Saturn will be transiting in your third house. I will say that this transit of Mars and Saturn will be a good one because it is after all the house of efforts and actions. So whatever action you take and whatever efforts you take, provided that you take it in a right direction, it will give you good results because Mars is your fifth lord, and third house is the house of hobbies, creative talents. So you can take up any hobbies related to your creativity, your creative self expression, which can ultimately give you good results in coming days to come. And since Saturn will be there, so you can resort to proper discipline, adhere to your values, and that can give you far more better results. Since two malefics are transiting through the third house, so you need to be very careful that how you communicate with your near and dear ones, specifically the people whom you are in daily contact with, your immediate environment. Okay, because very soon Mercury will be retrograde in your sixth house. So any kind of miscommunication or any kind of expression of thoughts which are not controlled, that can give you other kind of disputes or may take you to some unnecessary arguments, specifically after 10th of May when Mercury turns retrograde in the sixth house. Otherwise, transit of Mercury in the sixth house can also give you proper knowledge and information regarding how to complete a work wherever you are doing any job or service. So it can give you a proper insight about work and time management, specifically when it is retrograde. So you can learn from your mistakes. You will be able to solve down the problems more easily than before, because you will be able to learn new things, new steps by the virtue of this transit, because Mercury is your 10th lord also. So it may happen new set of responsibilities can come, and you can learn new things and get better results in the future. So that's it for the Sagittarius ascendant people. For the Capricorn ascendant people, the month of May will be starting with the solar eclipse or the new moon, which had happened in your fourth house, where your eighth lord Sun is exalted along with Rahu. Now, presence of eighth lord along with Rahu and the solar eclipse has happened in your fourth house. It is very essential to understand that you have to be very much careful, very much sensitive, and very much compassionate towards any matter regarding your home, homely matters, peace of mind, happiness, domestic happiness. Anyone living at your home, you need to be very compassionate towards that person. Specifically, your relationship between you and your mother, you need to be very much um, calm and composed regarding any matter regarding you and your mother. Okay, because that is very essential, specifically for the initial few days of this month. Any by the virtue of this particular solar eclipse which had happened in your fourth house, any small matter can lead to anxiety or stress, because you may feel insecure, because eighth house is involved. So unnecessary fear or insecurities may come in front of you. So initial few days, I will say that take the things very lightly, don't overdo anything, because as the time passes by, as the day goes by, the things will turn into real picture, and you will get the confidence and you will get the proper insight that how to deal with the things. And then this sun is also looking into your 10th house of profession, so that will give you also a good results regarding your profession as the days passes by. Jupiter and Venus is transiting in your third house. I will say it's a good transit, because it will be good for your social communication. Means how you deal with the people near and dear ones, your immediate contacts, immediate environment. It will also be good regarding your speech, your communication, any kind of creative talents or hobbies which you actually want to start. You will be able to perform it with clarity, with proper results. And Venus is also your 10th lord, transiting in exalted position in the third house. So you will be able to put proper efforts and actions at your work sector. This will also be like you wanted to something start as your hobby, and you started it successfully. So this kind of good results can be obtained. And very soon Mars will also join the party. That is Mars, Venus, and Jupiter in the third house. So on 17th of May, when Mars joins the conjunction of Jupiter and Venus in the third house, it will also give you proper energy. So increased energy, creativity, and wisdom at your efforts and courage. So that will be a good results, I will say. But initially, at present, Mars and Saturn is transiting in your second house of speech, and Mercury is going to get retrograde on 10th of May, which is transiting in the fifth house. So I will say that how you um deal with your family members or family matters or your wealth related matters has to be seen very carefully, especially when Mars and Saturn is transiting in your second house, because it can lead to some kind of unnecessary conflicts between you and your family members, or any kind of family matters. Even if it is very small, it can lead to anxiety, anger, or impulsiveness. Okay. And when Mercury turns retrograde, you have to be also very careful regarding how you express your thoughts, how you talk with your family members, and how you deliver your speech. You need to be very careful regarding that. Unnecessary wastage of wealth and money has to be checked during this particular transit. And Mercury will be retrograde in your fifth house, so it is a it can be seen in a good way that you will be able to retrospect regarding your creative skills, your intelligence, or anything which you are learning. So new type of things can be learned, or you can rectify the mistakes which you have been doing while you are learning new things. So it will be good in this way. Otherwise, since it is transiting through the fifth house, so if you are coming into any kind of love relationship between this particular time, then you need to be very careful, because don't forget that Mercury will be retrograde. So while you are accepting any kind of proposals, you need to be very wise and very careful, and then only you should go into those kind of relationships. Okay, so that's it for the Capricorn ascendant people. Aquarius ascendant people, the month of May has started with the solar eclipse and the new moon, and which had occurred in your third house. Now, third house is the house of efforts, and Sun is your seventh lord, which is getting exalted and getting conjunct with Rahu in the third house. Now, exalted Sun along with Rahu in the third house normally gives you a lot of courage to perform any kind of activities, and it can give you very good results. But by the virtue of this solar eclipse, so initial few days you might be um, uh, a bit low in confidence, or it can make you more agitated towards whatever work you are doing or whatever efforts you are taking. So it can be lack of clarity or any kind of confusion regarding your efforts, regarding whatever thing you are doing. So that can also lead to increase in anger or impulsiveness. So you need to be very careful regarding that, because that can impact your married life also, your relationship also, because Sun is your seventh lord of marriage relationship. So these are the things which has to be taken into consideration, specifically initial few days of the month. Now, as the days goes by, as the time goes by, you will find more confidence, more courage into your efforts and actions. So that can also give you good results with respect to your married life also. But the fact has to be checked in this way that Mars and Saturn is transiting over your first house, and it is directly aspecting your seventh house of marriage and relationship. And your seventh lord of marriage relationship, Sun, has already got involved in the solar eclipse in the initial first day of the month. So that means you need to be very careful regarding, even if the matter is so small, you need to be very careful regarding your married life, your health of the relationship, and the health of the spouse also. Suppose if you are into any kind of business binding or legal binding, then you have to be very careful that how you are negotiating with your business partners, because a time may come where you may become very adamant. This can lead to adamancy or impulsiveness, or too much aggression can disturb the proposals. Okay, so you need to be very careful regarding that. Take the things a bit lightly. Don't overdo anything. Try to avoid any kind of unnecessary disputes, arguments, because a difference in opinions will be there, but how you are reacting to it, that is very essential. Mercury during this particular time will be retrograde from 10th of May 2022 onwards, and it will be retrograde in your fourth house, fourth house of happiness, your home, your the place where you live in. Your fourth house also links with mother, so you have to be very careful regarding the health of your mother. And by the virtue of this retrogression, so any matter related to home, your education, your intelligence, your intellect, your creativity, all of a sudden may come in front of you. So those responsibilities and those retrospection has to be done. Suppose any renovation at your house which you are thinking to be done, but you are not getting time out for doing it, so all of a sudden you may get chance to do it. Okay, so any matter to your house or the place where you live in, that kind of matters can get solved by the virtue of this retrogression of Mercury. Mercury is your fifth lord also. So it may happen that all of a sudden a old love relationship may come in front of you, or during this particular time, if any proposals, relationship proposals can come in front of you, then you need to be very wise while accepting it. Be very careful regarding that, because Mercury will be retrograde. It is your fifth lord. Jupiter and Venus will be transiting in your second house of wealth, values, family. So I will say that it is a very good transit because this Jupiter and Venus will be giving you good results with respect to your health, your relationship with your family members. Any kind of family matters will be resolved, will be solved. Wealth related matters will be resolved, and that can also give you good results for your long days to come. So I will advise you that if you are thinking of doing any kind of financial or investment decisions, take the long term investment plans. That will give you far more better results. And when Mars gets in conjunction with Jupiter and Venus on 17th of May, so I will say that that is the time when you need to be very careful regarding any kind of unnecessary arguments and disputes, and unnecessary expenditures has to be checked when Mars comes to the second house and get conjunct with Jupiter and Venus. Okay, so that's it for the Aquarius ascendant people. For the Pisces ascendant people, the month of May has started with the solar eclipse and the new moon, and that had happened in your second house of family, wealth, speech, your values. And Sun is your sixth lord. Now, coming into the second house, getting exalted, and this particular solar eclipse happens. So, I will say that any matter related to family, family members, your health, your speech, your wealth, has to be seen very carefully, because I will say that suppose any matter related to family comes in front of you, then you need to be very calm, composed before reacting to it. Okay, all of a sudden don't say anything which later on you may feel that I shouldn't have said so. Okay, so these are the things which you need to be very careful. Since Sun is the sixth lord, so health related matters has to be checked, has to be seen. You need to take care regarding your health also during this particular time, because Ketu will be transiting in your eighth house, and this is the essential part. And Venus is your eighth lord, transiting through the first house, getting exalted. So this is the clear indication that you must take care of your health. Another thing, by the virtue of Sun and Rahu transiting through the second house, uh, try to make sure that you are not going into any kind of wastage of wealth, or wastage of unnecessary expenditure. I will say it's basically unnecessary expenditure, or any kind of spendings which are not necessary as of now, because by the conjunction of Sun and Rahu, what happens in the second house, that you may suddenly feel that out of your ego, out of your that blown up ego, you may feel that yes, I can do this kind of spendings or expenditures. So try to have check on that, try to have control over that. Okay, that can give you far more better results. Mars and Saturn will be transiting in the 12th house. So, two malefic planets transiting in the 12th house. First of all, this can create some unnecessary anxieties or stress. It can disturb your sleeping schedule as of now, because of this transit. It can give you the whenever you try to have some solitude or rest, it can give you restlessness. Okay, by this virtue of this transit. And Mercury, when it transits through the third house, I will say that is a good transit, I will say, in one way, because it will be good for your social communication. But Mercury will be retrograde and it will receive the aspect of Mars. So when it turns retrograde, and how you communicate between you and your immediate environment, your daily contacts, that is very essential, because that will give you a clear idea that the things which you must retrospect upon, because anything which you had communicated before all of a sudden may come back to you, you may feel that yes, these are the things which I can work upon on my behavior, on my expression of thoughts, and my communicative skills. So it is a brilliant time when you can work on your communicative skills. Another thing, Mercury is your fourth and seventh lord, so it's a indication that there is a chance of relocation. There is a chance of short travels if you want to. Okay, that can happen. Any type of miscommunication between you and your partner has to be avoided during this particular time. It can happen that by the virtue of this retrogression, you can have proper time and space to resolve the problems between you and your partner. Any kind of arguments or any kind of miscommunication which had happened in the past, that can be solved, that can be resolved by this retrogression of Mercury. Okay, so you can take it in this way. Now coming back to Jupiter and Venus, this transit of Jupiter and Venus as a natural benefic planet, looking into the fact that Jupiter is the lord of the first house, Pisces ascendant. This transit is a very good transit, I will say, because this will not only give you a good health, good personality, but also give you a good cordial relationship between you and your partner. Another thing, Jupiter will be activating your first house, fifth house, and ninth house. So it is a good time to learn new things. Engage in righteous deeds, engage in anything which is related to dharma. Okay, rituals, customs. Okay, these are the things which you can take up during this particular time. So this particular transit of Jupiter and Venus in the first house, I will say it's a really very good transit for the Pisces ascendant people. Make the most out of it. And when Venus changes the sign, when Venus changes the sign, it goes to the second house. So that time it will be in conjunction with Rahu. So again, I will say take care regarding your finances during that particular time. And on 17th, when Mars changes sign, it comes to the first house. So that time again it will be a conjunction between Mars and Venus along with Jupiter. So it will be directly aspecting your seventh house. So it will give you a charismatic character, it will be giving you a charismatic personality, very magnetic personality, that is good, but it will be impacting your seventh house of your relationship and marriage also. So that is the time when you need to be a bit more calm and composed, because energy will be high, impulsive energies will be very high. So have control over your instincts. Okay, so that's it for the Pisces ascendant people. So that's it from my side, and if you have liked this video, press the like button and share to your near and dear ones. Your comments are always welcome to me, and anytime if you want a consultation from me, check the links in the description section. You can mail directly to me through my email ID. And if you are new to this channel, then press onto the subscribe button, click onto the notification bell icon, so that every time I make a new video, you get notified instantly. Till then, when I come back with another interesting video, I will be signing off for today. Thanking you. Bye bye.